2015, India received 109.3 lakh foreign tourists. But then after a drop, it came down to 26.8. So that was a huge, huge drop. And our industry, if you look at five-star hotels, they normally get full because of the foreign tourists which come in. But with that not happening, the dependability of domestic tourism has really gone up. And that is really helping the industry sustain right now as we speak. So being a labor-intensive industry, this sector, it's very important to, if you don't have people to work, you don't have the right employees, it's very difficult to sustain and survive. And when this entire pandemic happened, the industry had no other option because they had no other provision to, pay off the salaries, during when the revenues were not coming in. So they had to resort to layoffs, wage cuts, and even leave without pay for their employees, which was something which that was a huge setback. I actually looked at Navi Mumbai hotels. That was what my entire scope was, because I live in Navi Mumbai, and then my workplace is also in Navi Mumbai. So I looked at few hotels in Navi Mumbai. So that's where my entire. So the process was to interview HR heads of 4-star and 5-star hotels through a personal interview, and it was an open-ended questionnaire. Okay, more details will follow, and then there were 6 major factors which came out after the entire interviews. Then I also to mention that I interviewed 2 general managers of 2 properties in Navi Mumbai. So I got insights from what the heads of operations they think about the entire HR issues which the industry is facing. I thought I will just mention about some review of literature. So good talent attraction has a positive influence on the organization performance of hotels. So this includes provision of competitive compensation, both monetary and non-monetary, employee-friendly recruitment practices, and flexible hours. So this is very important. Another point which came out was talent acquisition and talent development practices have a significant impact of employee satisfaction. Manpower quality can be enhanced through training and development interventions and by adopting suitable employee engagement and motivational initiatives to meet global challenges. So from the above review of literatures, it is clearly evident that talent acquisition is a challenging activity for HR, and employees today have a choice, to not to join hospitality and probably, decide to join other sectors where a lot of hospitality professionals are also required, so they have options. The research objectives, there were 2 of them. So the first was to analyze the issues and challenges faced in talent acquisition post COVID-19 pandemic, and to offer implementable suggestions. So these were 2 major objectives. The research design was that, as I told you, I had questions open-ended, and then from the basis of that, there were 6 major factors which I'll just list down, and I'll quickly take you to those. Scope was obviously Navi Mumbai, and this was we were looking at new entrants, not the current employees working. So the scope was 4-star and 5-star. Geography scope was Navi Mumbai, and the time scope was the current ongoing phase. And the pandemic is still around, but it is not so much as it was about 8 months ago. So these were the 6 major factors which came out of the entire interviews which I conducted. And this was primary data. I actually met them, some on phone calls, some didn't even respond because they had certain policies in place. So alternative employee options post-pandemic, enhancement in compensation, training enforcement, changing in attitude towards multi-skilling employment in the vicinity, and issues with job certification. So the first, alternative employee options. So there are a lot of other options which are available to hospitality professionals. So that is why they don't really want to come to hospitality, because last 2 years actually have taken a big toll on them. Second was they really want more salaries, and the reason is because of the losses which they had to incur, and the options which they have, and people are ready to in fact pay more. So a lot of hotels have actually increased their salaries, and this has actually come across through this study. So salary increase is very clear. It's from 10 to 40%. So that is a range which we are looking at. Training is very important because a lot of people have lost touch with their skill set. So training is definitely something which was voiced by all the HR heads. So additional training is definitely required, both for skill, knowledge, skill, and attitudinal. And of course, this increases the cost, but there's something which will really help them to give their guests better experiences. Change in attitude towards multi-skilling is definitely something which is good for the industry because it saves a lot of money, investment. But then for employees, we really find out what came out was they don't really like multi-skilling. They really clearly say that I will only specialize in one, and if you give me something else, I will leave and go. So there are a lot of instances like that which came out of this entire interaction. HR managers gave a lot of examples. They're looking at employment in the vicinity. So, people don't want to travel much. Just one more minute, that's it. Employment in the vicinity, so they don't want to travel. The fuel cost has gone up. And of course, they don't want to put themselves into risk if they have to travel more in public transport. So they're looking at places very close to their, home. And then, of course, they can reach home on time. They have better quality of life, work-life balance. And job specification is something which has taken a toll. You're not really getting the kind of people whom you want really to employ because a lot of students, for example, I'd like to give, I'm from a hospitality institute. They did not do training at all. So it is just on online classes. So just imagine, what happens to the talent, So hotels taken at whatever, position they are at, and they train them, so that they can at least start working, and on the job training, actually, what is actually happening. So conclusion, it has impacted the hospitality completely, and HR continues to face challenges onboarding. Okay, and I actually had two general managers. Quickly, I'd like to take you through that. They feel that, they have to really work on motivating people, and making them, really happy so that they stay on, and then attrition rate can be really controlled. Both the GMs almost had the same kind of views. Some recommendations: hotel management has to really, invest in training. A new joiner has to go through, whatever training is required. Compensation has to be looked at to attract people. Now it's very difficult to get people. You put an ad, you share something on WhatsApp, you hardly get responses. Working hours with 2 weekly offs is something we need to look at. Work-life balance, reaching out to the local community, offering employment, to them, free accommodation and food facility. And these measures will definitely help hotel management to solve talent acquisition issues substantially. Open to questions. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to open to the jury members for any observation.
Sorry, I exceeded the time. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Shirish, for the presentation.
Thank you, sir.
My question is, how many hotels have you surveyed?
So yes, I actually surveyed 6 hotels. Mm-hmm. 6 hotels in Navi Mumbai itself. The 4-star at the, actually 3-star, 4-star, actually there's no as such 5-star hotel. They call themselves a 5-star, but it's probably a 4-star hotel itself. So I looked at the hotels in Navi Mumbai. So it's easy for me to really spend time with HR and get an insight. That's where I work from, area of work is.
I'm a little curious because COVID is the context on which you are doing the study, right?
Yes, sir.
So pre-COVID time, all the hotels must be having more number of staffs. Okay. And after COVID, definitely at the moment, there will be a difference. That's what I am curious of. And this number should be less than what it was prior to the COVID?
So the issue is right now is when before COVID.
Did you get my point correctly?
Yes, yes, I understand. I'll just like to elaborate on that. I'll at least attempt to. I hope I can meet your expectations. So first, pre-COVID, I would not say they were overstaffed, but they were appropriately staffed. Because there's always a deficit. It's but the industry was doing well, so they were able to pay well. They was to meet the expectations. So there was no attrition as such. Attrition was there, but absolutely, something which you can. It's negligible. I mean, you can really manage that well. Now, when COVID started, it was very difficult to keep them, on the rolls because you have to pay them also. So I also work, in one of the brands, and one of the hotels was our brand itself. The hotel, the Park. I actually work for the Park Hotels, and I'm in a college which is attached to the Park. So I worked very closely, with these hotels, doing a lot of training and development activities. So I was driving that entirely. And we had a lot of people whom we did not pay. I mean, they were on LWP. So they were staying in their house, and then they were attending online classes.
Shirish, in fact, we have already taken a lot of time. So I would like to, in fact, cut it short. Just I have one. Hold on. I have just one suggestion. Your topic is talent acquisition, right? So whatever you are explaining, should it not be talent retention?
No.
So just think about it.
No, acquisition is in the current phase now, sir. Actually, right now, as we speak, now people have actually, got affected so much in these last 18, 19 months that now people don't like to join our industry. A lot of people who left are not coming back. Though we invite them, they're not coming. They've gone to their hometowns. They found other sectors, but they're not coming back. Instead of, increasing salaries also, we give them offer letters and then they don't come back. So what happens is that we don't have people to work. So whosoever comes in, we take them on board, train them, and then they start working. That is how it is. And it always, and one of the GMs actually spoke when I spoke to Ms. Amit Chawla, one of the general manager of Country Inn and Suites, Mahape. He voiced out, he said, I was just waiting for this call to come. And he really, had to tell me everything, his frustration just came out, On the 8th, when the salary happens, on the 9th, about 8-9 people leave. It happens every month. And then to get people back again is a huge challenge to fill those, So this happens, and it will happen at least for some time till we do something about it. But that is how it is. So that is the reason why I wanted to do this research project, because I really wanted to see what is actually happening. Only then you get to go out and talk and, get insights. So I share the same with the students also. So being a faculty.
That's it from my side.
Thank you, sir.
Rohit sir, anything that you want to contribute?
I have totally understood. I like the presentation.
Thank you to the presenter. Thank you to the jury members. I would now invite Aanchal Mishra and Archit Sood, students from MBA first year and the authors of paper titled Impact of Technology on International Business, a Case Study, to please present their research work.
Yeah, can I share my screen, please? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Archit Sood, and my co-author was Aanchal Mishra. We are MBA students, first year. Our topic is Impact of Technology on International Business, a Case Study. Beginning with the introduction, technology in the recent times has been able to change the way the companies conduct their businesses, and it also helps small businesses level up with the larger organizations, with completely going online with their operations. And businesses are completely adopting technologies such as AI and machine learning and big data for large-scale analytics, the things that operated in the analog domain are now completely going digital. Hence the term Internet of Things. Now, the technology has also revolutionized the way the smaller organizations compete with the bigger ones. In recent times, businesses are going completely online with the operations, and these are the now moving forward with second one. Okay, so objectives talking about to study the impact of technologies in the current era. For example, the materials, the information, and manufacturing. And second is to study the impact of and the advances of technology in the business segment. So our learning outcome from this case study was it helps businesses stay competitive, and technology increases the level of productivity and the efficiency the companies can have. Now, the advances in algorithms such as the Bellman-Ford, the Dijkstra shortest pathfinding algorithms have been able to offer businesses the best possible way to find and cover all possible routes, especially for the telecommunications and also for the logistics businesses, which can increase the efficiency and productivity. Now, second is the TCP and the IP protocols. This was incepted back in the 1983, and this the advances in signal processing, the digital signal processing, has allowed the businesses to communicate and send more information to their customers with relatively minimum amount of errors sent into the digital communications that have been sent. Now, I would like to update. Now, I believe that there has been a tremendous impact of technology in the business era environment, and therefore, I would recommend that the organizations who wish to go global with the business market should also consider outgoing activities in order to reduce the costs on the emphasis of the business. And the organizations would also provide job opportunities simultaneously and decrease the rate of employment. And furthermore, large organizations who wish to have an impact of technology, competitions such as the social media and mobile phones and customer relationships and management systems is fundamentally critical, which affects the way companies communicate with their potential customers. Now, I thank you for listening, and I'm open to any questions.
Could you tell us specifically which technologies you think are becoming more important?
So the IoTs, this is the Internet of Things is the next thing that people are trying to catch up on. Since IoTs can be made pretty much anything with an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. So this is the new buzzword.
What about things like Web 3.0 or NFTs, non-fungible tokens, the DAO, which is the decentralized autonomous organizations? Have you researched into any of these?
So I've heard about the NFTs, but I've not read much about NFTs as of now.
Okay.
Archit, first of all,
yes, sir.
I know you are an MBA student, right? And that's why I don't want you to answer my question, right? So whatever I'm asking, just think on it.
Yes, sir, sure.
So for me, any research is about dependent and independent variable. So first of all, you think what is your dependent variable and what is your independent variable. Second thing is, in any research, normally we measure the variable, right? For example, what's your height? Height is a measurement. So we know how to measure it. So if you finalize that this is my dependent variable and this is my independent variable, so then think, how will you measure those variables? So this is only food for your thought, right? I don't want you to answer me because you're not a PhD student. But since you are presenting your paper in a research conference, so I think if you think on these lines, so they will make you more mature in your research thinking. Right.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's all from my side.
That's all fine, Archit. Good attempt. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, presenters. Thank you to the jury members. So next we have Akib Ashraf Guru and Bodhita Bhaviskar, students from MBA first year, and the authors of the paper titled Political Vision on Empowering People in Business, a Case Study. Akib and Bodhita.
Yeah, hi, I'm here.
Yeah, just a minute till Archit and share the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
He's doing
Yeah,
it.
Yes, not a problem.
No problem.
Is it visible, Shloka?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My topic is political vision on empowering people in business. And this is a case study. And I, along with my teammate, Akib Ashraf Guru, we have researched a little bit. So I'll start my presentation with your permission. Introduction. Political vision refers to the vision of a leader in uplifting his people out of poverty and raising their standard of living by shaping or growing the country using various strategies. Vision is the purpose with which the leaders can take the country ahead. There is a difference between a politician and a leader. Every leader can become a politician, but a politician may not be a leader. A leader can exercise his power and position for the betterment of the people and the country. In a country where it is not possible for the government to provide employment to all, the way forward is to empower businesses and encourage foreign investment. The policies should be framed in such a manner that will benefit the small-scale industries rather than benefiting bigger enterprises, as smaller businesses generate more employment. Today, over 6.3 crore MSMEs employ approximately 11 crore Indians across domains and contribute to around 29% of nation's GDP. India's economic success will largely depend on these mid-sized firms who have the potential to grow large, but are often held back by certain constraints and limitations. Coming to the objectives. Our objectives are to understand how a leader's vision can change the whole dimension of a country, to learn how a vision of a leader and his power can bring up the change, to study few political leaders who helped grow their countries and encourage local businesses and foreign investment, to provide some recommendations for the government that need to be focused on for the growth of the business and the country. Research methodology. This is based on secondary research. Data is obtained from different sources like government websites, reports, various articles, blogs, previous research papers, etc. Coming to discussion, we have two visionary leaders. One is Sir Dr. Mahathir Mohamad from Malaysia. He said that you have to lead. You should be sensitive to what your followers think. But if you do exactly what they want, you're not a leader. When he began as PM in 1981, Malaysia's gross national income per capita was $1,930 US, while by the time he left his office in 2003, this had more than doubled to $4,160 US. It was under Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's leadership and aggressive development strategies that helped Malaysia build one of the fastest growing economies in 1990s. Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan and UAE. He said, the greatest use that can be made of wealth is to invest in creating generations of educated and trained people. He believed in the development of entire Emirates and not just Abu Dhabi. He believed in unity and development for all, hence established UAE. His vision led the UAE becoming the GCC's second biggest economy after Saudi Arabia and the third largest in Middle East, according to international major reports, as well as the most important financial and economic center in the region. Both the leaders focused on development of most vulnerable part of the society due to poverty. They invested on human development, education for all, healthcare, women empowerment, infrastructure, and strengthening the institutions. They believed in unity and development for all. Both had strong willpower and great vision to bring the change. Some recommendation. Strengthening the institutions. If there is a loophole in the government institutions, all the hard work, time, and vision will go in vain. A leader can have a vision and can direct, but it is the institution that will implement. If the institutions of a country are not strong, then no other country or business would invest their time and money. Investment potential for business. A country needs to have a solid proportion of investors and companies through their robust legal structures. The laws and regulation of the country should be transparent, agile, and designed to preserve the rights of the organization and individuals. Free zones, making trade-friendly environment, pioneered free zones that can have foreign ownership policies are tax-free, low-cost setup, and renewable structure. For example, if these policies are adopted and we have foreign companies in India, it will be country, and those companies will have the economic access to some of the biggest markets in Asia, like China. In Dubai, the free zone located at Jumeirah Lake Tower has 170 new companies opening every month. IoT. The government should leverage emerging technology initiatives such as blockchain, AI, IoT to make businesses more personalized, seamless, and impactful. Technology for all. People should have access to affordable smart devices and internet connections in order to develop their businesses. The internet is also beneficial to connect with different parts of the world and can get access to new ideas to develop and sustain a business efficiently. Supporting technopreneurship. The government should bring business-friendly policies for technopreneurship that deals with high-tech ventures and information and communication technology, electronics, internet, life sciences, and biotech. Supporting startups. Certain steps that can be taken for the sustainability of the startups are direct grants and zero-interest loans, access to venture capital, investment, employment support schemes, promoting customer demand, savior startups and scale-ups, COVID relief funds, free marketing, investing in R&D, reduce taxes, and especially I would like to focus on reducing the commercial electricity charges and rents. Women empowerment. Women should be provided equal business opportunities. There should be increased networking, which will give them a sense of acceptance, and they will support each other, hence increasing the business. Governments may conduct skill training programs that will allow women to enhance management skills, technical training, financial planning, etc. Special working zones for women must be created where women entrepreneurs are given the office space with minimum rent, tax-free environment, and access to markets. A broad training scholarship program should be provided. New techniques in agriculture, advanced technology like smart crop monitoring, drone farming, smart livestock monitoring, autonomous farming machinery, and smart building and equipment management. Governments need to ensure that the technology is affordable and easily accessible to the farmers. They can allow the farmers to rent the technology for some period of time. Governments should also provide technical support to the local manufacturing units so that the manufacturing will take place in the country itself so that we do not need to import the products, hence reducing the hefty charges. Conclusion. For the betterment and development of people and nation, we need to understand the politics that shapes it. Ultimately, it is the political decision and leader that will shape whether or not the Millennium Development Goals are reached. Revenues are raised to fund investment and growth occurs. If the government policies are in synchronization with the businesses, the country will eventually have a sustainable growth and development. Here, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bodhita. Open to the juries for any observations.
Bodhita?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah, okay. Tell me, Bodhita, can you measure political vision?
I think, sir, measuring political vision would be a bit difficult, but I think we can go on measuring the developments that took place over the years. Political leader was in power.
Okay, so you are saying political vision cannot be measured, right? That's what your answer is?
No, sir. We can measure what all developments took place during the period the political leader was there, was in power.
Okay, but what I guess from your title that you are trying to establish a relationship between political vision and empowerment.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's what are the words in your research title.
Yes, sir.
But then you're not neither using, you're saying that political vision cannot be measured, and you're not using the word empowerment anywhere in your presentation. Right. So is there any relationship between what you write or what you present and what is the title that you're giving?
So I think we have tried to study a little bit about countries and leaders who have actually supported businesses. And we came across that there are various schemes that are already taking place. We see that, yeah, there are.
So should not your title be political leaders and national development rather than political vision and empowering? Just think on it, right? Don't answer me.
Yes. Okay.
I know you're not a research student, so I don't want to bother you much. But definitely, I would like you to think on these lines. Right?
Yes, sir. I will. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable.
Shloka, that's it from my side.
Okay, sir. Rohas sir, Pushpendu sir, any observations from your side?
No, nothing more from my side.
Okay, so I would only say that well tried, and whatever the input sir has given, we can all work on that.
Yes,
that's good.
Sir.
Keep developing. Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah. So that's how you were presented your thoughts. So at least in this platform, you are getting some inputs, and that's how you can definitely develop and work a lot in the field. Yeah, move ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Over to
Thank you, Bodhita. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bodhita. Akib. I would now like to invite Subhendu Bhattacharya, the author of the paper titled Global Business Scenario in the Light of Pandemic and Supply Chain Disruption, to please present the paper.
ती सरांनी थोडं country development side ला जाते ते.
Bodhita, can you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Well, I uploaded my presentation. Can you all see it?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, good evening to everyone. Honorable jury of the panel, respected faculty members and beloved students. My topic for this International Hybrid Conference of Amity University, Mumbai is Global Business Scenario in the Light of Pandemic and Supply Chain Disruption. We know we are living in uncertain time, and this terrible virus caused catastrophic damage. There had been tremendous business loss, and we have seen that how organizations of the world, whether small-scale enterprise or mid-scale or large-scale, they scramble to safeguard their business, stay afloat. So it had been a major challenge how to keep the business proceed and how to serve the market when there was pandemic-oriented restrictions. There was quarantine mechanism, there was lockdown, shutdown, and social distancing process in full swing. And it became a global phenomena, and all the business organizations struggled hard. Global manufacturing production got affected, and global value chain was severely disrupted. We know China was at the center of global value chain. So many top-notch organizations from advanced economies or middle-income economies relied on China. But when crisis emerged in China, all supply chain activities got rattled. And then there was search for alternative, how to find a solution, how to work out a plan, and how to make supply chain workable so that this kind of uncertainties would be handled well and normal business proceedings can be continued. Main objective of the study is to highlight pandemic effect on global supply chain mechanism, production and distribution. And another objective is to illustrate about impact of global supply chain disruption and how it has impacted economies of the world. In the research method, I have put descriptive analytical research to develop this paper.
And it had been epistemological journey, which was to explore the facts and to bring reality to the light. Secondary facts and figures had been scrutinized and presented in the paper. It had been descriptive analysis, presentation of graphs and charts and analytical point of view, and it is to understand how supply chain got affected and what was the snowballing effect, how business struggled, and how it affected millions of lives. And there was the time when lockdown created disruption in trade and investment. So this research had been revealing the fact what has happened in the past. So it is a post facto analysis. Now the salient points I would highlight, there was global health emergency, and it was because of unprecedented challenge. So many people lost their lives and they also lost their livelihoods. Supply chain, which is lifeline for any business, affected severely. And there was struggle in sending finished goods to the market, because not only supply chain, but also logistic facility got affected in this tough time. Managers have thought about how to keep business alive, how to stay afloat, how to face these uncertainties boldly and come out unscathed, how to tide over the crisis and get alternative solution. So technical integration had been observed in large scale. Things came onto digital platform, and there had been new ideologies, new business models emerged. And it was with due respect to new technological evolutions. We are living in the time of fourth industrial revolution, and it is about globalization 4.0. And we see there are uncertainties. So factorizing all uncertainties is a big factor in the current time. So with diagrams, it came clear that how economic growth got affected. There was sharp decline in GDP. And here we see that global manufacturing output, which is measured in terms of PMI, and it took a severe dip in 2020, and later on it started recovering, but still uncertainty is in the air with the arrival of Omicron variant. Merchandise trade also got affected severely, and during pandemic time, crossing distance, merchandise shipment, and also taking it to the far off location, the time got lengthened by 25%. Here we see, because of diversion of all technological equipments, appliances, spare parts, and it is famous in the name of semiconductor or microchips. Most of them went towards digital gadgets. So there was a big shortage. And because of pandemic-oriented restrictions, lockdown, shutdown, or quarantine measure, we get to see there is a gulf of difference between orders being placed and invoices generated. Now, when we try to find out solution, what would be workable solution, we see that government of different economies, private sector enterprise and public sector undertakings, and all top-notch internationally renowned organizations should come together, assess the uncertainty, and think about workable solution or develop action plan and how to work collaboratively so that future crises can be faced confidently. Development of strategic value framework. So there is a transition, global value chain to strategic value framework. Global value chain would be there, but with this new approach, global value chain disruption can be reduced to great extent. Development of interactive tool, and that would gauge the disturbance in value chain, and it would help out in future industrial development and investment strategy. IT process should be integrated, and there would be more diversification in supply chain base, and there should be stronger inventory in critical location, and localization of sourcing should be given a due thought. So in summary, I would say that problem would occur, but with the right strategy in place, it could be overcome. And the way I have mentioned, whether it is localization of sourcing or it's about working collaboratively, and also to diversify supply chain bases and to develop stronger inventory so that future challenges can be overcome. And this strategic framework would work well and give guidance in future crisis time. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Shloka, please go ahead.
No, sir, I was about to invite you.
Okay, okay. Professor Bhattacharya.
No questions from my side.
Yeah, I hope you're at the moment you are in teaching, and publication will be one of your important tasks that you are supposed to do. Right. So in that direction, I see a major problem in your paper. The problem is that you're not embedding your research into literature. Right. So unless you bring the motivation from the literature and you try to solve it in the literature environment, that means at the moment I am not seeing any citation in your research, right? So this research more or less seems to be only for your own pleasure, right? So you're not digging deep into the literature.
If you read the research paper completely, then you would see that what extensive work had been done, and also gathering information from relevant sources, whether United Nations Development Program, UNCTAD, World Economic Forum, or it is from Economist Journal, or it is from Deloitte Insight. So I studied extensively, tried to understand the present crisis and what is wrong with the global supply chain and what could be way out.
Yeah, please excuse me, because my comments is entirely based on your presentation. Right, so your papers are not shared with the chairs. So I'm sorry for that. So if it is done, that is perfectly fine. So I thought just to intervene based on your presentation, whatever I have observed, and I just wanted you to know. So if that is done, it's perfectly fine, right? So that's it from my side.
Sir?
Yeah, so only one thing that I would be saying, like we feel there is a excessive need of collaboration in terms of digitization, as you were talking about the supply chain management. Today we see delicious and fresh at a very fastest delivery rate, 90-minute delivery. So our pharmacy we talk about, NetMed we talk about. So, sir, what is your opinion based on this paper that what we all can do so that masses are aware of this sort of facilities which are existing, because there is a digital divide that is seen in our country. So, you know, looking into the supply chain or global supply chain, how we can have your ideas, your research work giving an impetus into this. Just my observation, if you can highlight something.
Yes. So we see most of the economies are in transition process from traditional to digital economy. And digitization is happening in full scale. and that is changing our lifestyle and how the market operates and how economy functions. So here, this digitization facilitated tremendously, and this global value chain and whatever disruptions happen. So what would be worked out solution? So China plus one policy that majority of advanced countries thought about, over dependence in one location, that would create trouble. Next thing is about interactive tool, and all stakeholders would be part of it, and it is to gain information, analyze it, and giving some insightful information so that all would stay alert. And there should be strong crisis management system, and this remote working process that should be strengthened. And also it is more digitization, more technological integration, and usage of high-end technologies, whether robotics or 3D printing, or it's about incorporation of artificial intelligence, that would be useful. And at the end, when it is industrialization 4.0, globalization 4.0, then we see there are the new uncertainties which would create trouble. On the one hand, geopolitical tension; on the other hand, full-fledged trade war; on the other hand, economic recession; and finally this pandemic. There are multiple challenges, but how to navigate well and tide over the crisis? So technological integration is indispensable, and that would give guidance, and also this collaborative effort where all the stakeholders would stay in touch, although they would remain separated, but there would be regular interaction, and through that interactive exercise, some solution would come out, and better business strategy or investment strategy would emerge.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Yeah, requesting the anchors to proceed.
Thank you, Subhendu sir. Thank you, juries. I would now like to invite Dr. Anurag Pandey and Dr. Jitesh Parmar, the authors of the paper titled Examining Moderate Effect of Gender, Age, Income, Education and Experience on Consumers' Online Shopping Attitude and Behavior Intention, to please come on to the dais and present.
Yeah. Please, I'm there. Please just give me some time because I'm just in invitation. I've just completed my exam. Maybe 2 minutes. Give me just 2 minutes. I'm in my college. Okay. Just give me 2 minutes.
Sure.
The exam is over now. I'm just reaching out. Okay, just a minute.
Okay, sir.
Shloka,
Sir.
let us move with the next participant. Yeah.
Yes, sure. So I would now like to invite Ritik Khandelwal and Tanaisha Vyas, students from MBA first year and the authors of paper titled Fundamental Analysis of Cryptocurrency versus Stock Trading, a case study, to please present the research work.
It would be a great moment. You will be presenting your paper in front of two of the, I would say, dignitaries who are really into this field. We have Rohit sir, who is into this, and even Shashikant sir into the field of IT from years. And it will pleasure. Your paper, whatever the case study you will presenting, it will really matter a lot. Whatever you will be doing. Yeah. Ritik, yes, please proceed, Ritik.
So Bodhita is sharing the screen.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you, Bodhita. I would like to start from what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency, it seems like a complex word, right? Fear not. It's not so scary as the term appears to be. According to Investopedia, cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by cryptography based on a network that is distributed across a large number of computers. Still sounds scary. Let me break it down for you. Forget about crypto and focus on the currency part. That is previously a currency, then what's so special about it? It is a digital currency. It doesn't have a physical form. Instead, it has an electric format. The only similarity between physical currency and cryptocurrency is that you can use to both make purchase. Want to know something interesting? Cryptocurrency is not regulated by any government or formal entity. It is dealt with by many people all over the world. Now I would like to my presentation, fundamental analysis of cryptocurrencies versus stock trading. Next slide. Introduction. Crypto is a digital-based strong encryption from secure transaction and trade. Crypto has powered to be a faster and safe mode for worldwide transaction. Share, on the other hand, it is a commodity-based trade platform. It is a financial instrument that reflects ownership of the portion of a company. Both are valuable assets. This research aims to introduce and give a clear approach for trading in crypto. Stocks and crypto differs in function, and hence the paper provides parameters of considering and analyzing both the platform for asset development. Stocks are the document of ownership, unlike crypto. Cryptocurrency let you take part in transaction. This means when use this to buy and sell directly. Next slide. History of cryptocurrency, like you can see the graph here, 19, I can only fit the till 2012. It's starting from 1998, Nick Szabo theories, BitGold, a virtual currency, a proof of work, system to solve. In 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto writes the white paper detailing coin. In 2012, Litecoin and altcoin promising the faster transaction speed that Bitcoin is released. Like to starting in 2013, nascent stage of crypto, handful of exchange open. In 2014, gained momentum with the 13 large and 20 small exchange openings. Directly to the 2017, the first draft recommendations by government to curb crypto trend overuses for schemes, scams, and terrorism. In December 2017, Bitcoin hits all-time high of $20,000. In February 2018, XFM Arun Jaitley says Bitcoin not legal tender. In April 2018, RBI banned bank from supporting crypto payments. July 2018, exchanges depends on the private peer-to-peer network for payment. In October 5, 2018, Union Coin launches first crypto ATM in India. In October 25, 2018, Union Coin founder Satvik Vishwanath arrested by Bangalore police. July 2019, government panel recommends 10-year jail term, Henley fines. March 2020, Apex Court lifts ban. Considered as a safe and fast mode of investment and trade. Next slide. Object of research: to understand the concept of cryptocurrency, to identify various parameters of investing in crypto. Next slide, please. Parameters of trade: availability, volatility, safety, risk, reward ratio, uncertainty. Next slide. Conclusion: the paper aims to clear the ever existing rumors and doubts of crypto trade. Crypto is a volatile platform, but not risky. Just like share, if the selection of the coin is right, the returns are guaranteed. Next slide, please. Thank you so much.
Actually, the full details are in some research paper, not in the presentation.
Yes, sir. Full details are in research paper.
So actually, we would probably need to read that in order to comment on what you have covered in that.
Yes, sir.
Ritik, since you are a MBA student, right?
Yes, sir.
So my question on your presentation is not technical, but this is very business manager relevant. Tell me, what do you think or what do you visualize will be the effect of cryptocurrency in business environment? What is your imagination?
Like, sir, it will be very easy. Like whenever we normally, when we transfer from bank to bank.
No, I'm telling business environment. Since you are going to be a business manager, talk in a relevant terms. What will be the changes in business model? What will be the new businesses which will be generated? Right?
So the payment method will be easier.
Okay.
And we can
That's it.
Yes, sir, because the main is like to currency, like we can exchange immediately without any charges.
That we can all at the moment also we can do.
So, but sometimes there is like in the according to the bank, there are that due to RBI like limited funds. Sometimes it can having an issue.
Right. But, so Ritik, my suggestion is, being a MBA student, do not go. You can go. That's not an issue. You do a lot of technicalities of cryptocurrency or blockchain. But what is more important for you is how this is going to transform the business.
So it is
because ultimately, no, I don't need answer from you. I just want you to think on these lines.
Sure, sir.
So business transformation is more important for you to know rather than going into the technicalities of cryptocurrency or blockchain, right? So work on those lines because that's what your domain is. There are skillful people or a lot of experts from the computer science and IT who know 1,000 times more than you about the cryptocurrency.
Yes, sir.
So you don't need to expertise in their domain. You need to expertise in your own domain. And your domain is business. Right? So try to work on the interaction of blockchain and business rather than going into the technicalities part of it. So that's what my suggestion is. You are in the first year. So maybe I do not know how much you will be understanding what I am trying to say. But just think on these lines.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's it from my side.
Well tried, well done, Ritik. Already the observations given by both the expertise would definitely be taken in consideration, and you can definitely work. Sir wanted to say that we don't have to learn crypto. We can apply crypto for making business or finding out some ideas. That's what sir in simple terms, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So thank you for the inputs. Now I request the anchors to move ahead.
Thank you, Ritik. Thank you, jury members. Now, Dr. Anurag Pandey, can we have you next?
Yes,
sir has joined.
I'm ready. Thank to the organizers that they just considered my consideration. Okay, I was just busy in examinations, so that's why I thought that there is still one paper was there. So I thought I will be presenting it later. So, my screen is visible. Is it my screen?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Okay, just a minute. So,
yeah.
Okay, is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. It is taking some time on my laptop. So, good evening to all. This is the paper that I am presenting over here. This is just one of the objective of my thesis. So I have taken it as a research paper, and I am just presenting it here in the conference. So this paper was guided under the guidance of Dr. GPSS Verma. He's the guide of me, and he's somewhere busy in some university work as well. He's there in Upatar Sadi University. So he's also controller of examiner. So he's busy in that time. So he's also joining the session, but I'm going to present this paper. The title of my paper is to examine the moderating effect of gender, age, income, education, experience on the consumer's online shopping attitude, as well as the behavioral intention. And this is all about the online shopping. So I will not be giving too much time on this because this is just a data that online shopping is booming and the internet users are booming, the smartphone users are just increasing. So because of that, all we can say that online shopping will be the future. So this is all about that. And this is the literature review that I have done. Even I have considered only the literature regarding the demographic variable, only the gender, income, education. I have considered that only. Am I audible now? Yeah. Yes. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah. Okay. So this is all I am not considering all the factors that have been taken. I will be showing my model, what I have taken in my study. The unified theory of acceptance and use of technology has been taken as a base model for this study. And in that model, some of the demographic variables were taken. And this was the proposed model that I have. Here in my study, I have added some more factors in this and also added the moderator in this study as well. Because earlier in the study, the income and the education part was not taken into the consideration. So I've taken that as well in this, and also some other relationships that I have taken in this study. After the factor analysis, we have found around 15 factors, and those 15 factors was also been confirmed through the confirmatory factor analysis. This is the research methodology that I have used for my study. The online shopping users was considered for the study, and the sample size was 1,000. It was very tough to get the data from 1,000 people from the 13 districts of the central Uttar Pradesh. I used both the methods, electronic methods, where I prepared the Google form, and through that I have collected the data, and around 400 plus that responses I got on the Google form. And apart from that, I spread out around 1,000 printed questionnaires, and out of that around more than 650 final respondents that I've taken. So altogether 650 plus from the physical mode and around 400 plus from the online mode that I have taken. So altogether 1,000 is the responses taken for the study, and the 7-point Likert scale was used over there, and the confirmatory factor analysis and the structural equation modeling was adopted for the analysis purpose. So this is the confirmatory factor analysis model, in which we have confirmed all these 15 factors over there, and all the fit test we have confirmed, and we found that the model is fit for the further study. So we prepared this model. This is the model that we got after the final analysis of the research. One by one, I will explain all the moderating effect, because the purpose is only to explain the moderating effect. So I'm not going to into the other things. So this is the first, that the gender effect. So in all the relationship, what we found that the gender moderates the relationship in between the social media and the attitude towards online shopping. And again, in this case, on attitude towards online shopping, the second variable was the price value, as you can see, and the Z value has been considered for that, and the Z value which has been considered on the basis of 10% of level of significance and the 5% level of significance. So we have considered 10% as well as the 5% for this three. And at 5% level of significance, only one variable, that is the price value, is being considered. That is having the moderating effect. The moderating effect of gender has been found, and where we found that the females feel that there should be more price value while they are going online shopping, whereas in case of the male, it was found insignificant. But for other variables, like we can see, the social media was the another variable, the facilitating conditions was the another variable, and the social influence is the another variable that has been moderated by the genders. That is all. In case of the behavioral intention, where we see that the facilitating conditions, the price value, and these two variables is being found having a moderating effect of genders. And in case of the age, we have taken the data in some different categories, but for this study purposefully we have categorized in two: below the 25 year and above 25 years, the equal distribution of the samples was done. And here we found that the perceived credibility, or we have this price value, that is all being moderated, and also the effort expectancy, that is also being moderated here in this case, and performance expectancy, that is also being moderately affected. And in case of behavioral intentions, we have this facilitating conditions, habits, and website design. They all been moderated by the on the basis of age. And the next is the education. So we have also considered the education level as a moderator, and where we found that the perceived credibility and the social media effect, and the self-efficacy, and the effort expectancies, and the website design, these all factors being moderately affected by the education in terms of attitude towards online shopping. And in case of behavioral intentions, we found that website design and website design is having a moderating effect, and as well as the behavioral intention, that is also having a moderating effect on actual use as well. The learning outcome of this study, that already we have considered in the analysis part, that we have seen that in terms of the price value, where we see that there is a strong influence on female, there's a strong effect of price value on attitude towards online shopping. And similarly, in case of the social media, where the social media has a strong influence on female consumers. And in case of the male conditions, so male consumers believe that the facilitating conditions and the price value has a strong influence on their behavioral intention. And in case of the on the basis of the age, we found that the hedonic motivation and the price value having an influence on the attitude towards online shopping as compared to the users that is below 25 years. Similarly, we found that above below 25 years are in belief that the perceived credibility performance expectancy, and social influence has a stronger influence on attitude towards online shopping than the consumers above 25 years. But the consumers above 25 years in believe that the effort expectancy has a strong influence on the attitude towards online shopping than the consumers below 25 years. The consumers below 25-year-olds are in belief that the website design has a stronger influence on behavioral intention as compared to the other consumers like above 25-year-olds. And in case of the consumers above 25-year-olds are in belief that the facilitating conditions and the habits has a strong influence on the behavioral intention as compared to the consumers below 25 years. Again, in case of the income that we found that the consumers having the income above 25,000, they are in belief that the social influence and the performance expectancy has a stronger influence on the attitude towards online shopping as compared to the consumers having the income below 25,000. The consumers having income below 25,000, they are in belief that the website design and the consumer anxiety has a stronger influence on the behavioral intention as compared to the consumers having the income above 25,000. But the consumers having the incomes above 25,000 are in belief that the behavioral intention as compared to the consumers having the income below 25,000. In case of the educations where we see that the consumers with the graduations and below, they are in belief that the perceived credibility, self-efficacy, website design has a stronger influence on attitude towards online shopping as compared to others. But the consumers with the post graduations, they are in belief that the social media and the effort expectancy has a stronger influence on attitude towards online shopping as compared to the other consumers. And the consumer with graduation and below, they are in belief that the website has a stronger influence on behavioral intention as compared to the consumers with the post graduation and above. And the consumers with post graduation and above are in belief that the behavioral intention has a stronger influence on the actual use as well. And in case of the experience where we have considered the less than 3 years and more than 3 years, so have we found that the consumers having less than 3 years of experience, they are in belief that the self-efficacy, habits, website design has a stronger influence on attitude towards online shopping and other than others. And the consumers who have the more than 3 years of experience, they are in belief that the price value has a stronger influence on the attitude towards online shopping as compared to other consumers. And the consumers with the having experience more than 3 years, they are in belief that the price value and attitude towards online shopping has a stronger influence on the behavior intention. And the consumers having the less than 3 years of experience, they are in belief that the habits having a strong influence on the behavior intention as compared to others. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Anurag,
yes, sir.
It seems your research is complete.
Yes, sir.
So, have you ever sent this for publication?
Yeah, I have through the this conference. I'm going to publish this because the conference is also giving me opportunity to publish it in Scopus. So that's why I have submitted my paper, and especially I have just given a concern that if you are going to publish it in some good journals, then consider it. Otherwise, don't go for some other publications like in Proceeding and all.
Okay. So, Dr. Anurag, because I have also reviewed A-star and A category journals.
Yes, yes. Sir.
So the biggest problem which I see from your paper is you have worked a lot.
Yes, yes, sir.
But if you ask me what these high-ranked journal ask for, the first criteria, that is which research gap you are trying to fill. That is, what is your research motivation? Right. So on that parameter, I find that your research is weak. So you have elaborated a lot on what you have done, what is the result, and so on. But the first question is, okay, so am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes, sir.
Right. So maybe Anurag, Dr. Anurag, you are not in position to hear me, but for benefit of everybody, let me speak. So the biggest problem which is identified is that there is no literature supported need. Remember what the word I am using, right? That means you need to identify the need from the literature itself, and then you are supposed to address. So 50% of the paper is based on that need, how strong that need is, and what problem that need is going to solve. So unfortunately, in our Indian scene, what I find that we work very less onto the need part. We work a lot on a problem which is not needed, right? So even if my own understanding is, even if our research is not very rigorous, right? It is sometimes I have seen even a superficial research, but it is a demand of the time and it is a demand of the research community. And that's why it has been accepted by a high ranked journal. So Dr. Anurag, that is what my comment is on your paper. Although your paper is, your research is very well done, you have addressed the research very well, but the basic question somehow I find as missing. And maybe that you have elaborated that into the research paper, but at least you were not upfront in your presentation on that account. So Shloka, that is all from my side. Please.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Anurag, sir. With this, I would like to thank all the presenters and our esteemed jury members. And I would also request the jury members and the presenters to please switch on their cameras so that we can have a group picture for the track.
Am I audible? Am I audible? I'm here. Actually,
yes,
that
sir.
was disconnected. Your valuable points. I'm looking forward to just get some insights from you, sir. Can you please repeat it? Unfortunately, I was just disconnected, sir. Can you please give your...
After this photo, sir, we'll just give 2 minutes and where Shashi sir can definitely give you the input. Just we will complete with the photo session, then we will go for that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Requesting all the faculty and the faculty members and all the committee members who are tirelessly working from last almost 10 days, 4 hours every day we have our schedules. I request everyone just to come up. Mehul, if you are there, and others, those who are available, kindly if you can. Yeah. I request our committee photographer to proceed ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I think it's done.
Yeah.
Thank you to all, and I request the presenters to please stay back since we will be having a best presenter ceremony after this.
Yeah, even I request Rohas sir, sorry to interrupt, Shloka, sorry to interrupt, beg your pardon. Just I request even Rohas sir and Shashi sir to be there with us for just another 10-15 minutes with the closing of the ceremony and also declaration of winners. So it will be always our privilege to have both of you dignitaries, of course, well known in your proficiency and your field, and both I consider as my mentors. So I just request you to be there for some time. Yeah. Anurag sir, meanwhile, Shashi sir, you can 2 minutes. You can,
some points from the sir.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, please. Yes.
Just.
Yeah, Dr. Anurag, in fact, the point which I just elaborated, see, you have very well done your research, right? Good sample size, good analysis. But the main point is research motivation, which is whether you are in position to identify the required gap from the literature. So that's a story building of the research. That means a background work, how you are making your story interesting.
Yes, yes,
right?
Yeah. Okay,
so
sir.
That is more important.
So that is, sir, what I have done in this case. Actually, this was a very big case. So this is all the literature I have done. It is a literature of around 15 pages. I have this all literature. Actually, in the conference, I was just trying to present my paper only the specific objective. So that's why I have not deal in that in details the literature review. But I have considered all the technological acceptance model in this study. It started from TRA, TPB, and the social cognitive theories, and TAM, TAM2, U2A, UT, U2A, UT2 model, MM model. So many models I have, and then also specifically I have reviewed all these variables. One by one I have reviewed the variables like website design and performance expectancy. So we have the separate review for this as well, sir. You can see here that this is the review for all. This is just I have written in case of the storytelling type. I tried well to explain all these things. So all the variables which I have considered in my study, they all are being separately reviewed. Whatever the studies are being conducted in the past, that I have considered in my study as well.
Right. I think that's very well done. What I teach to my PhD student, that 50% of the time of your presentation, if you have 10 minutes, spend 5 minutes on the motivation only.
Yes.
So that when you finish the motivation, so the listener should get as if this research is not done, the world will fall.
Yes, sir.
So he should be so much curious after the end of your research motivation.
Yes. Actually, I totally agree with this, that you should have a complete homework before going for the final analysis of the data, and whatever the independent variables, whatever the previous studies have been considered. So that's why I have done all these things. But due to having some lack of time or the structure of the PPT, so that PPT was also not been there in literature review. So, but personally, I added these 2 PPTs for literature review. So that was the reason. Otherwise, all this literature review was done, the proper systematic review was done under the guidance of Dr. Deepesh Kumar. So he has guided me well. Even it takes around 6 years to get me my PhD. So actually, I was doing around 4 years. I was doing literature review and all, to making my questionnaire and all these things.
See, the true PhD starts only when you dispatch your paper for publication.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So that publication also started from 2019. I registered in 14, but the final paper presentation started from 19 onwards, 18 onwards. So this is
all the best for your publication journey, right?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Actually, I am also new in this field. Last 4-5 years, I'm in academics. As I started my PhD. So I have some publications, but I'm looking for some quality publication this time. So that's why I'm looking forward that I should have some more good guidance. So that's why I was more interested to listen your comments and all these things. Sorry that I have taken too much time from this conference.
No, it's okay. No, every conference is a learning, in fact.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All the best.
Valuable comments, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I would now request Karishma to please proceed further.
Thank you, Shloka. As Bill Gates rightly said, success of any business today requires the agility and drive to constantly rethink, reinvigorate, react, and reinvent. With this thought in mind, we thank our session chairs for their valuable inputs, which preserves the quality of this track, and also for accepting the invitation and being available among us for this August academic gathering. On behalf of Amity Business School, Amity University, Mumbai, Maharashtra, we would like to thank you all again for your precious time and your valuable presence in this international hybrid conference. This track has surely evidenced quality research papers and cases which imbibes vivid aspects of pertaining to the conference theme. Now, I'll be requesting Dr. Jyoti Vidhani and Dr. Projit De to come here and hand over a token of appreciation as session chair certificates.
I'd like to say thank you. Certificate to honor is presented to Mr. Rohas Nagpal in recognition for their contribution as per corporate directive.
Thank you, Rohas, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, now we have certificate of honor is presented to Dr. Sashikant Srivastava, sir, as an external faculty expert. Thank you, sir, for being with us and blessing the event. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for giving me a chance to be part of this esteemed conference.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Now, we can move ahead then. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yeah, over to anchors. Yes.
Sure, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Vineet Joshi and Dr. Pushpendu Rakshit for the closing ceremony of this grand international hybrid conference.
Yeah.
Over to you, sir.
Yes. Yeah. It is all a pleasure that I'd like to take to just recite a small story I mean, the entire journey that we have been through from inception of this conference and today, whatever we are at the conclusion. So it has been a very long journey. So I believe the quote of Albert Einstein: try not to become a man of success, rather become a man of value. So here we could see a lot of collection of values, a lot of talk processes from yesterday morning till beginning until now. We had all only the knowledge getting shared. So it's like a river where all the researchers, academia, and we have the students all are getting drops and they are all bestowed by the same. So we could see that I believe throughout this the entire conference, we had four important things that we have taken care of, and that is the major thing in this is to inspire people, because the theme that we have selected, building self-reliant India, convergence of innovative practices, awareness, trends, challenges, and prospects. So Amity Business School, Amity University planned to go ahead with this international conference, and it was on a very short span of time. And in that also, with the brigade of our the faculty as well as the students, we have successfully could be here. And of course, before even I begin up with the vote of thanks in few minutes, I will be saying the four key points which we learned. The first one was to the leadership that we have seen here. Everybody has taken the leadership. All these young, the anchors, they are from MBA and BBA and first year, and they have taken all the initiation, hours of practice that we have done, and today they are all perfect. Even we have the inspired people. That's what I could see. One of the outcome of this entire conference of today, we see that we all have tried to inspire a lot of us. Even in that, we got inspired. So this is even an opportunity provided to me for the first time, and I look forward to have similar for representing Amity Business School Mumbai in future. Now, second is empower people. We had a lot of presentations which talked about pertaining to the theme of the conference that we have, where we could understand that we talked about how commercializing the products, how we can have empowering people. And knowledge is always an inevitable tool to do that. Then we have shared vision. In this, we could see that we all had one of the important concept taken here, that most of the panelists, either we had the panel talk, we had the session chair, they always talked about the vision, that is in terms of either a researcher writing a paper, or we have a vision developed in order to do something better for us. Then we had lead change. So change management or changing something. So every researcher, every person who is involved is looking for a change. And I guess after this 2 days conference, my anchors and the team would not be saying that our anchors, that they have not changed. They all have evolved. And with knowledgeable people like we have currently available with us, Rohit sir, or we have Shashikant sir. So journey of Shashikant sir is like with me. We had met in long back in conference, and from there he is nothing less than a mentor to me, and a very gentle and excellent person having hold. Same is Rohit sir, where I have learned and pursued my some of the further educations. Indeed, and a great personality. So we see that this is what the platform where we had multiple people who have given their time and made this conference a real one, what we see. So as it is quoted by Walt Disney, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So even rather than discussion, even I believe in decision, and that's how we all have come up together. And of course, now it had been a very long journey that we have seen. So this international hybrid conference, so building a self-reliant India, convergence of innovative practices, awareness, trends, challenges, and prospects, which we call BSRI CIP 2021. Organized in the month of December for 2 days, we have 22nd and 23rd. Amity University School, Amity Business School, Amity University, Mumbai, Maharashtra is really thankful to each and every person who have played a great role in making this going well. Keeping the theme, go local, trust local, go for self-sufficient and self-reliant India. Make in India, believe in making India. These all are the themes which we have seen. Have put your buying power into products and services that made loyalty locally with improved innovative practices. Indeed, we had a digital convergence making a country, a nation, quite self-sufficient. Over the times, we have seen that Amity Business School Mumbai is really looking passionate to organize such academic events where we could have a lot of contribution from different people. So we at the end could sum up with the objectives that we have taken before we proceeding with this conference note. we basically could nurture and develop practice-based learning through this conference and developing an ecosystem, and where we had more than 200 participants in some like audience who have visited, who have evidenced this history-making event that has happened for 2 days. Indeed, the world is a VUCA world, and in this we could see that contemporary world, whatever we see, which is dynamic by nature, and in this, how the dynamism can be considered, and with that, how the sustainability and survival of businesses can take place. To participate, engage, discussions, and we had a lot of discussions that we had to have taken. Academics, research scholars, business consultants, corporate delegates, people from international platforms, banking professional, financial professionals. We had people from public sector, we had from government sector, we had people across, entrepreneurs, who all have contributed a lot into this. The research scholars, faculties, entrepreneurs, and all others have definitely tried to enrich their knowledge basket with SEB. We have all been benefited with a lot of talks that have really created a disruption in our thinking process. Also, now I would like to thank, because of which the event would have never been successful, our conference organizing committee, His Excellency, our Chancellor Sir, Dr. Asim Chauhan, our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Lieutenant General V.K. Sharma, Dr. V.K. Sharma. We have a Vice Chancellor, Dr. A.W. Santosh, Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity Business School, Mumbai, Maharashtra. Most important person, because of whom the conference is actually successful, and I thank Dr. Bhavna Sharma ma'am, our HOI and Director, ABS, for her immense support throughout the event, for each and every guidance that ma'am has provided, and because of which the event is now would be talking in future as a success story. As a convener, I have experienced a lot of ups and downs throughout the journey, but it was really a healthy practice that we have learned through. We had been in a lot of teamwork, and this is what the team building comes together. That's the reason I would like to wholeheartedly humble and thank our co-conveners, Dr. Vineet Joshi, who have taken care for most of the activities related to promotion, related to the documentation, Dr. Samir Kulkarni for marketing and promotion of the event, Dr. Muhammad Afzal for taking the account and further processes, Dr. Seema Unnikrishnan ma'am for taking all the concerns related to the execution, being present all time throughout the event and even the days of execution, whatever the requirement that has been always fulfilled. Our faculty coordinates, without whom we could not have completed this. Mr. Prajit Dey, we are having Professor Prajit Dey, we have Dr. Reshma Nair ma'am, Dr. Siddharth Dongre, Dr. Jaimin Shah, Dr. Jyoti Vidhani, Dr. Joy Chatterjee, Dr. Lata Shriram ma'am, Dr. Payal Sanan, Dr. Bhavika Thakkar ma'am, without whom this would have never been possible. We got a response more than around overall 120, 130 papers, out of which we have taken the best papers. So we are having around 60 of the best papers, out of which we could have 48 papers to be presented on request on the track, out of which successfully we could go ahead with 37 to 38 papers. Due to unavoidable circumstances, some of the presenters could not be currently present for the sessions. So this is what we had, one of the remarkable thing, more than 120, 130, 125 authors who have contributed for the papers from across India and even abroad. We have not only nationally considered, but also international participations are there. Student coordinators, without whom this event would have never been successful, who have worked continuously, tirelessly, and always had been with a smile face. We had number of hours of trials, a number of hours of rehearsals, but they all had been there always together. And they had been proactive, which is the best managerial skill being into a B school that one can have. Ankit Satpathy, Sankalp Patil, Aditya Mantri, Tanishk Solankar, Aryan Matthew for creative and designing of all the things which you could see visually, virtually, whatever has come up as a flyer, as your brochure, or we have seen as the backdrops which you could see. Also, we are having Parthavi, who have Karishma, Archit, Shabin, we had Shloka, who had been Dechema, who had been continuously with the anchoring work from 2 days. They are regularly present and they are all getting ahead with a very, very fine-tuned work that they have demonstrated. Rohit Pawar has also definitely doing a great job. Pooja Jangam Shetty have helped us in a lot of ways. We are also having Shabin, who is considered to be our photograph, who is there with us as an anchor throughout the time he is present. Govinda, who is there with us as an photographer, he is basically taking care of entire photos that is been taken care as our videography and as our photography team. Then we are having Abhiruk, who is also playing a very important role as a backbone to this entire conference. He is sharing all the entire slides and whatever is required, the video sharing at a time. And then none other than Mehul, who was the person who was ringing the bells, and you could have seen the timekeeping was taken care of. So Mehul, thank you a lot. Thank each one of you. Our foreign delegates, keynote speaker, we had Mohammad Rakibul Kabir from Associate Dean, East Delta University, Bangladesh. Dr. Sangeeta Arulappan, Assistant Professor, Abdul Rahman University, Malaysia. We had Dr. Song Kau Thong, Deputy Director, INTI College, Nilai, Malaysia, as a keynote speaker who has bestowed our event. International Advisory Committee, Dr. Srinivasan Dezormane from Tunku University, Tunku Abdul Rahman, Malaysia. Dr. Mohammad Rakibul Kabir, East Delta University, Bangladesh. Dr. Sangeeta Arulappan, University, Tunku Abdul Rahman, Malaysia. Dr. Shaheen Mansoori, Malaysia, University of Science and Technology, Malaysia. Dr. Song Kau Thong, INTI International University, INTI College, Nilai, Malaysia. Dr. Alexander Zadrzini, AI and IIoT expert, Zyfra Technology, Finland. We also would like to thank each and every the chair sessions, the chair at the track sessions for track 1 banking, corporate expert Dr. Rajesh Gupta, external expert Dr. Pramod Srivastava and Dr. Mijibul Rahman, faculty expert Dr. Lata Shriram. Track 2 financial management, corporate expert Dr. Sunit Kopra, external expert Dr. Kaustubh Sontake and Dr. Gajanan Wader, faculty expert Dr. Siddharth Dongre. Track 3 inclusivity in management, corporate expert Mr. Sanjeev Arora, expert external Mr. Ravindra Sharma, faculty expert Dr. Shima Unnikrishnan. Track 4 trade and economy, corporate expert Mr. Arun Kamal, external expert Dr. Geeta Rana, faculty expert Dr. Muhammad Afzal. Track 5 pandemic shift in business amid pandemic, corporate expert Mr. Sangeet Kini, external expert Dr. Chaitali Gadekar and Ranjul Rastogi, faculty expert Dr. Bhavna Sharma ma'am. Track 6 media, society and development, corporate expert Mr. Siddharth Bhaviskar, external expert Professor Deepika Sharma, faculty expert Dr. Saubir Kulkarni. And currently available with us, track 7, global business scenario, corporate expert Mr. Rohas Nagpal, external faculty expert Dr. Shashikant Srivastava, faculty expert that I was there present throughout. So this is what generally we could see. We as a team have really worked very hard, and we have tried to provide the best whatever we could do. And we could see that we had many presenters, around 6 presenters in track 1. In track 2, we had another 6 presenters. In track 3, we had around 6 presenters. In track 4, 7 presenters, 5, 7 presenters, 6, 8 presenters, and track 7, 8 presenters. I thank each and every presenter who have been with us and making this event to the grand success. Now, in presence of our Dr. Shashikant Srivastava sir, and we have Rohas Nagpal sir, I would request Dr. Vineet Joshi to proceed ahead with the declaration of the most awaited moment post-conference, that's the declaration of the results. So I welcome sir for track-wise to proceed up with the best research paper award. We are declaring the results now. All the certificates shown throughout the event would be definitely circulated to all the people, those who are participated in this conference through online channel. Yeah, we have our the Honorable Director ma'am also joining with us. So in her presence, we will like to go ahead declaring with. Yeah, please over to Vineet sir. Please proceed ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, team.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Vineet sir. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. Apart from all these things, I will also like to thank you, Pushpendu sir,
I know what Herculean task you have pulled off. So we also thank you for being our conference convener. And without making any such fuss, I will like to declare the result for each and every track. So first track was track 1, banking. The best paper award is for Mr. Pawan Kumar. He had presented paper impact of digital first strategy on performance of active payments, active payment banks in India. Congratulations, Mr. Pawan Kumar. Track 2 was financial management. The best paper award goes to Hetal Rajgor. She had presented a paper on a review of literature to understand taxation challenges in India amid COVID-19 era. Congratulations, Ms. Hetal. Track 3, inclusivity in management. The award goes to Mr. Pawan Kumar. The paper presented was smart technology enabled self-service check-in and service design at airport. Congratulations, Mr. Pawan. Track 4, trade and economy. Award goes to Nagarajan M. He had presented a paper on an economic analysis on India's floriculture exports. Congratulations, Mr. Nagarajan. Track 5 was paradigm shift in business management amid pandemic. The award goes to Mr. Saurabh Pathak. He had presented a paper on UPI adaptation, a trend analysis of transactions volume. Congratulations, Mr. Saurabh. Track 6, media, society and development. The award goes to Shloka Kulkarni and Pooja Sawant. Both had presented a paper on a case study to analyze strategic communication in corporate world amid COVID-19. In track 7, we had joint winners. Track 7 was global business scenarios. There are 2 winners. First is Mr. Shirish Bokade. He had presented a paper on challenges and issues in talent acquisition of Navi Mumbai hotels post COVID-19. Congratulations, Mr. Shirish. And the other winner is Dr. Anurag Pandey and Dr. Jitesh Parmar. The paper presented was examining moderating effect of gender, age, income, education, and experience on consumers' online shopping attitude and behavior intention. So I would like to congratulate all the winners for winning Best Paper Award. Yeah. Over to you, Pushpendu sir.
Yes, sir. I request each and we will definitely have a word of blessing from our director ma'am as she is present. But before that, I request everyone to just be on camera for a group photo. I request all the people present along with us to just go ahead having the having a group photo. I request also the team, the committee to go ahead with having the photographs. I hope all are ready, all are set. Yeah, just give us 2 seconds. We are in process. Thanks to each one of you for building up this success story of this conference. And without presence of audience and each one of you, this would have never been a story that we could see now. Now I would like to welcome our director ma'am, Dr. Bhavna Sharma, to have few words of blessings on the conference. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pushpendu, Dr. Vineet, for taking it up. And let me congratulate each and every member of Amity Business School for making this event possible. Without anybody's non-cooperation, non-support, it would not have been possible to conduct such an event flawlessly. So my congratulations, good wishes to each one of my team member who had made this event possible. That's true without any flaw. And I look forward for many such events, and I could assure all of the audience here that the theme for the next conference has already been announced. We had even announced the month in which we would be doing up the third international conference. So be tuned to that. And I look forward for the successful conduct for many more in the coming future. So congratulations, Dr. Rakshit and the team of other co-convener, Dr. Sami, Dr. Seema, Dr. Vineet, Dr. Afzal, and not just these 4-5, but the entire Amity Business School team, be it Dr. Bhavika, Dr. Lata, Dr. Payal, Dr. Bhavika. So everybody has supported tirelessly to make this a success. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. And ma'am, with your permission, I just want to have a tentative declaration of the title. that we look forward to have for our upcoming conference, probably month of April or March or April. With your permission, it's a international conference on innovative practices in education 4.0, building an EduNation. So we look forward to welcome all again for the upcoming conference and being participating and making success. Thank you, ma'am. And we would definitely love to thank you, our IT team, because of whom all these facilities are made. We are having Abhijit sir from our AUM campus, Dattatreya sir from our AUM campus, and we have Mobin sir from our Noida campus, who have continuously been with us on a virtual mode, and they have tried to help us with all the connectivity and setup what is required, giving access to individuals and taking care that we do not get with any glitch. So I thank each one of the person who had been behind this success story. Thank you, ma'am. With your permission, can we look forward to have a closure of event?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to anchors.
Sir, just to get it confirmed, sir, this is Dr. Anurag this side. Actually, just having connectivity, I just want to know the best paper presentations in my track. Actually, I was just disconnected that time. Track 7, sir.
Which track, sir, you have presented?
Track 7, sir.
Okay. Vinit, sir, can we just look track 7 winners?
Yes, sir. Track 7 winners, there are joint winners. First winner is Mr. Shirish Bokhade, and the second winner is Dr. Anurag Pandey and Dr. Jitesh Parmar.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Actually, I was just disconnected that time. So it's very wonderful to listen these words. Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks to each one of you for making this event successful. And as we have received the permission from our director, ma'am, so we shall now look forward to have closure of this 2 days international hybrid conference, Building Self-Reliant India, Convergence of Innovative Practices. Thank you. Thanks to each and every anchor for their presence, and we look forward to closure. You can just have a closure word. Yeah, anchors, if you can.
With this, our 2-day International Hybrid Conference comes to an end. I thank each and every one who contributed to the success of this beautifully executed International Hybrid Conference. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and with this quote, the price of success is that it unlocks harder challenges with more at stake for next time. So we believe we are all meeting by the next time. Thank you all. Signing off.
And God bless my students too, who had tirelessly presented, managed, and had supported at every step. God bless you all.
See you all soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you all.